Have you ever found yourself replaying the same moment over and over, wishing you had chosen different words or made a different decision? Perhaps it was an argument that ended badly, an opportunity you let slip away, or a choice that still follows you long after it was made. At first, it feels like reflection. You tell yourself that you are simply trying to learn from the past. Yet if you stop for a moment and ask honestly, how many times has replaying that memory actually changed what happened? More often than not, the pain does not come from the event itself, but from the quiet hope that somehow the past could still become different. The future can be just as exhausting. Before tomorrow even arrives, we imagine countless possibilities, rehearsing conversations that never happen and fearing failures that exist only in our minds. While our bodies remain in the present, our thoughts wander through a future that has not yet been written. By morning, we feel drained, not because life demanded too much from us, but because we spent the night carrying burdens that were never ours to bear. Most people believe suffering comes from loss, failure, uncertainty, or change. Those experiences can certainly hurt, but beneath them lies a quieter source of pain. We suffer because we keep trying to control a life that has never promised to obey our expectations. We want people to understand us, our plans to unfold perfectly, and the future to reward our efforts with certainty. When reality refuses to follow those expectations, we begin a silent argument with life itself. The strange thing is that reality never argues back. The past remains unchanged, tomorrow stays uncertain, and other people continue making choices beyond our control. Life simply moves forward while our minds remain trapped, asking impossible questions. What if I had done things differently? What if everything had turned out another way? Perhaps the greatest battle we fight is not against the world, but against reality itself. And perhaps peace begins with one simple question: what is truly within your control? There is something strange about the human mind. We often believe that if we think about a problem long enough, we will eventually find peace. So we replay old conversations, imagine different outcomes, and search endlessly for the perfect explanation. It feels productive, almost responsible, as though worrying is a way of protecting ourselves from future pain. Yet the longer we hold on to these thoughts, the heavier they become. We mistake mental repetition for progress, when in reality we are only walking in circles. Imagine carrying a backpack every single day. At first, you barely notice its weight. Then, without realizing it, you begin placing more and more inside. A regret from yesterday, a fear about tomorrow, someone else's opinion, expectations you cannot possibly satisfy. One by one, they seem small enough to carry. But over time, the weight becomes exhausting. The tragedy is that most of what fills that backpack was never yours to carry in the first place. We rarely question these invisible burdens because they have become part of our identity. We believe that worrying means we care, that overthinking means we are being careful, and that trying to control everything is simply what responsible people do. But what if the opposite is true? What if the constant need to control every outcome is not a sign of wisdom, but a quiet source of suffering? Perhaps the greatest burden in life is not what happens to us, but our refusal to accept that some things were never ours to control. And until we learn the difference between responsibility and attachment, peace will always feel just beyond our reach. More than 2,000 years ago, a former slave asked a question, so simple that it still challenges the modern world today. His answer would become one of the foundations of Stoic philosophy. More than 2,000 years ago, a man who had once lived as a slave offered an idea so simple that many people overlooked its power. His name was Epictetus, and he believed that nearly every form of inner suffering begins with one mistake, confusing what belongs to us with what never did. According to him, there are things that are within our control, and there are things that are not. Our thoughts, our choices, our values, and the actions we take belong to us. The opinions of others, the past, the future, and the outcome of our efforts do not. At first, the idea sounds almost too simple. Yet if we look closely, much of our anxiety comes from living as though the second group should obey us. We want to control how people see us, whether they appreciate our kindness, whether our hard work will always be rewarded, or whether life will unfold according to our plans. We invest enormous energy trying to shape things that have never truly been ours to command. Then when reality refuses to cooperate, we call it disappointment. Stoicism does not ask us to stop caring about life. It asks us to care about the right things. Imagine an archer preparing to shoot an arrow. They can train for years, choose the finest bow, stand with perfect posture, and aim with complete focus. All of that belongs to them. But once the arrow leaves the string, the wind may change, the target may move, or unexpected events may alter its path. The Stoics believe that true peace comes from giving your best to the shot, while accepting that the result no longer belongs to you. This simple distinction changes everything. It reminds us that our responsibility ends where our control ends. The moment we stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world, we create space for something we may have been searching for all along: a quieter mind. But understanding this idea is only the beginning. The real question is how to live it when life refuses to go as planned. Understanding the Stoic idea of control is one thing. Living it is something else entirely. It is easy to agree with the principle, while listening to a quiet voice in a peaceful moment. It becomes much harder when someone criticizes you unfairly, when your plans suddenly fall apart, or when life takes a direction you never expected. In those moments, your first instinct will be to reach for control again. You will want to change someone's opinion, rewrite the past, or force certainty upon an uncertain future. That instinct is deeply human, but it is also where much of our suffering begins. Imagine planting a tree. You choose healthy soil, water it regularly, and protect it as it grows. Those actions are yours, yet you cannot command the rain to fall, prevent every storm, or guarantee that every season will be kind. If you judge your efforts only by the final outcome, disappointment will eventually find you. But if you measure your life by the care you give, the honesty of your actions, and the character you build along the way, then every day becomes meaningful, regardless of the result. This is what the Stoics understood so well. They did not believe peace came from controlling the world. They believed peace came from mastering the only place where real freedom exists: your own response. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice patience. Every disappointment becomes a reminder to release what was never yours to hold. Every uncertain tomorrow becomes an invitation to focus on what you can do today. Perhaps life has never asked us to control every outcome. Perhaps it has only asked us to meet each moment with wisdom, courage, and integrity. The more we accept this, the lighter the invisible weight becomes, until one day we realize that peace was never waiting at the end of perfect circumstances. It was quietly waiting within the choices we make each day. There comes a quiet moment in every life when we realize that no amount of worrying can rewrite yesterday, and no amount of fear can guarantee tomorrow. It is a realization that arrives gently, not because the world has suddenly become easier, but because we finally stop demanding that it should. In that moment, something begins to change. We no longer measure our lives by how perfectly events unfold, but by the way we choose to meet them. Letting go is often misunderstood as giving up. In truth, it is one of the bravest decisions a person can make. It does not mean abandoning responsibility or losing ambition. It means releasing the illusion that every outcome must obey our expectations. We continue to work with dedication, love with sincerity, and pursue what matters with all our strength. But we no longer tie our peace to results we cannot command. What remains is not weakness, but freedom. This freedom cannot be given by success, wealth, or the approval of others because it does not depend on any of them. It grows quietly each time we accept what cannot be changed and direct our energy toward what still can. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin asking, "What is the wisest response I can choose now?" That single change in perspective transforms obstacles into opportunities to practice patience, courage, and self-respect. Perhaps peace has never been something waiting for us in a future, where everything finally goes according to plan. Perhaps it has always existed in the present, hidden beneath our endless struggle to control what was never ours. The moment we loosen our grip on that struggle, we do not lose part of ourselves. We discover a part that had been there all along, calm, steady, and quietly resilient. And once that discovery is made, life itself begins to feel different, even when the world around us remains exactly the same. There is a quiet kind of strength that rarely receives attention. It is not the strength to control every situation, convince every person, or predict every outcome. It is the strength to remain steady when life refuses to follow your plans. It is the courage to accept uncertainty without allowing it to steal your peace. Although the world often celebrates those who appear to control everything, true freedom belongs to those who understand that not everything was ever theirs to control. Tomorrow, life will continue as it always has. Some doors will open, while others will quietly close. People will surprise you, disappoint you, misunderstand you, and sometimes leave without explanation. Unexpected opportunities may appear just as unexpected challenges will. None of that can be fully predicted. Yet each new day offers something that no circumstance can take away: the ability to choose your response. Perhaps that is where peace has always lived. Not in perfect conditions, but in the quiet space between what happens to us and how we decide to answer it. Every time you choose patience over frustration, wisdom over impulse, or acceptance over resistance, you reclaim a part of yourself that the world can never take away. Little by little, these choices shape not only your days, but the person you become. As you leave this moment and return to your own life, you may discover that nothing around you has changed. The same responsibilities are waiting. The same uncertainties remain. Yet if you carry even one idea from today, let it be this: peace does not begin when life finally becomes predictable. It begins when you stop asking life to be something it was never meant to be. And perhaps from this day forward, whenever the world feels uncertain, you will remember one simple question before anything else: what is truly within my control?